You guys, it's Monica and welcome back. It is your favorite time of the year, our Glitter Tumbler 101 series. And so this is when I make a yearly video showing you how I'm making tumblers and hopefully help you get into tumblers. So first, let's go over supplies. My favorite stainless steel tumbler to use are the Hog 20-ounce skinnies. They are my go-to. I will leave a link to them below. Hog never does me wrong. They ship super quick. And now they have like sublimation paper, epoxy, which you'll see. And so like they're doing their thing. So what I like to adhere my glitter with is Mod Podge. And so you're probably like, girl, I didn't know what that was. So I went and grabbed it. So I buy a big one because it's cheaper. You know, of course, I'll be using my coupons like at Michael's and stuff. And then I just transfer it into the squeeze bottle. And then I also use polyacrylic. You'll see me use this to seal not only the glitter, but also the vinyl and the transfer. And so you can get this either on Amazon or at your local like hardware store like Lowe's, Home Depot, that kind of place where you can get your polyacrylic. And anything I mentioned, I will leave a link to below because I know if you're like me, sometimes you just don't want, like today, I ain't leaving the house. I don't feel like it. And the glitter I'm using, this is the new glitter. It's called Electric Pink. You can pick all your glitter needs, all your UV DTF needs, your rhinestone needs, all that kind of stuff over on PeriodSixDesigns.com, which is my little website. And then, like I mentioned just a couple seconds, I don't know, ago, that we are going to be using the Hog Speed Epoxy. And so this is going to be different than my other videos that I've done previously because I'm going to be showing you guys this with a fast set epoxy. And so, yeah, we'll get into that a little later. Just other little random accessories, acrylic paint, your turner stuff, all these brushes, all little random things that I'll touch on as we get into the video. And the people that make my turner, I got them off Etsy because, you know, I try to support small businesses because I am one, baby. Them people didn't disappear. I don't know what happened to them. I hope they all right. But in this economy, we all had to go back to our desk jobs. That's why I never quit mine, baby. Because I love y'all, but like, y'all watch the videos sometimes, but some of y'all are not the most reliable as customers, baby. So I had to build my backs off my little engineering degree because this was, no, I wasn't going to let this be my only source of income, Bookie. It's too unreliable, but I know what them engineering checks going to be every week. Anyways, let's get started. And so to prep our tumbler, I just use alcohol. And so back in the day, there was like all this, oh, you got to sand it and do this. Baby, I'm not doing all that. I'm just going to get the factory dirt off because these did come from China. And that's it. We just don't want to put it on a dirty tumbler. If you don't want to waste alcohol or whatever, baby, just go wash it with a little dish soap. There ain't nothing wrong with that. What you will see, there's a little factory dirt on it, but we're getting that off. And alcohol gets the job done. See? Just a little dirt, but we don't want it underneath. It's like when people put on perfume when they're already dirty and funky. You can't use perfume to cover up funk. We don't want to use glitter to cover up dirt. Okay? Okay. And so next I'm going to be using just some acrylic paint. The acrylic paint is from Michael's. And so you'll see people spray paint and stuff. I live in Colorado where it's cold all but 3 months of the year. And so I'm still on a mission to find the best acrylic paint. I had been using like chalk paint and stuff like that. The only problem with chalk paint is that in my opinion, it's expensive. And so I don't want to pay, $12, $14 for a little pint of paint. And so I'm just on a mission to find the best acrylic paint. And so this is like a glossy acrylic paint, but I find that when you mix it with whatever color you're wanting to mix it with, it kind of makes it matte. And I like how that clings to the tumbler better. You'll probably be like, why can't I just use, because y'all see the pink is like the little cheap ones that are like 69 cents. I don't like just using those just for the simple fact that I feel like they crack. And so you really need a good quality acrylic paint that's kind of thicker, thick like a chalk paint, but not a chalk paint, in order to get just a good base layer on your cup. Because when you just use that cheap acrylic paint, it cracks and it crinkles. And honestly, I feel like it has you could potentially just peel off, what you put on, and it doesn't have good adhesion. That's the word I'm looking for. It does not have good adhesion to the tumbler, and it does not have good fidelity in order to hold up when you put all those layers on top of it. And so you always want to start with a good base. You know what I mean? It's like when you build a house. If your foundation cracked, baby, that bitch gonna crumble. And we don't want our tumbler to crumble, right? Right. So if you haven't seen the time on this, y'all, this video will be my longest video of the year. Go get you something to drink. Go get you a little snack. Go get you a little, little cookie, some gummy bears, something cold to drink because it is summer. And so that's what it's looking like. So I let that dry for like an hour. And I come back. This is what it looks like. You're probably like, girl, that's not perfect. I know, babes. We're not perfect. Oh, shit. Oh, my camera. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm recording the audio. I just knocked the camera over. Everything's okay though. And so, yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to make sure you have a good base layer before you start your glittering. And so I am using the Mod Podge again in the squeeze bottle. People ask, which does it matter what Mod Podge you use? Not in my opinion. Glue is glue. Decoupage is decoupage. Don't use, I always say this every year too, not Elmer's glue, babes. That's not what we're talking about. But like a decoupage glue. One that stands up and holds up. And Mod Podge is not that expensive for you cheap bitches to be going out there and acting like all you can afford is Elmer's glue. Okay? I love y'all, but come on. Spend $3 instead of spending $1. I know in this economy that's a lot to ask. You got it. Stay clocked into work or something. I don't know what to tell you, Boogie. But yeah, I know y'all out of school. Y'all looking for things to do. These videos always pick up traction in the summertime because I guess y'all, like, I ain't got no kids, so I don't have to go as hard. If you get the quote, you get the quote. But anyways, yeah, so I guess y'all be just looking for things to do in the summer, and I love that for y'all. So make tumblers. There's no time like the present. And so when it comes to glue, just take your time. On this first layer, you want a pretty good layer. The thing is, it's going to dry quick, the first layer. So you want to make sure you don't want it uber thin. You're not burnishing the glitter on here. You're just putting it on here. So it don't need to be uber thin, but you also don't want to be too thick that it's going to take forever to dry and potentially dry uneven. And so when it comes to putting the glitter on there, I like to do it around the rims first because the rims tend to dry faster in my opinion. And so that's kind of the place you'll always, if you do the middle first and then you go back and do the rims and it's been too long, you'll see you have like a dry spot around your rim, and that's the part where you're always trying to touch up. So just go ahead and do the top and the bottom rim first and then come back and cover the middle. And this works just because the length of the paper, if you try to like go from top to bottom, baby, you're gonna find half that glitter gonna end up not on the paper that you're trying to catch the glitter on. And so just do it that way just for peace of mind and cleaning's sake. So yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no, the putting the glue on is what sets you up to get the glitter on there right. If you get the glue on there right, the glitter's not going to be no problem. So, and then just to do the bottom, I always have a hard time doing the like showing y'all the bottom, but I'm trying to do my best. So I just stick it in there. Once I get like a good enough pile where I know once I press it in, I won't be pressing it straight to the paper. Don't press it in, y'all, if you don't have enough paper, enough of a glitter mound on the bottom. Now if you press it in, it's going to scrape against the paper. Now you didn't create a sandpaper essentially. So yeah, that's what it looks like after the first layer. Me personally, I like doing 2 layers of glitter. And so let that dry for about an hour. You'll see people who like, I'm not in that much of a rush. Y'all need to slow the fuck down sometimes and enjoy life. You do not always need to whip out your heat gun and dry the cup. Like, take your time, sister. Do this and then go take a walk. Do this, go wash a couple dishes. Do this, go play with your kids. Between layers. Y'all don't need to sit there tuned in for hours. Y'all, it is summertime. I still want y'all to get out the house because I love y'all. And vitamin D is important. And you need to get that from the sun. Okay? So people are going to ask, can I use the heat gun to split? You could, but why? Why? You don't want to have a to-do list of things to do that really don't matter if you do it or not. You let that be your glitter tumbler. Let's chill. Like, let's relax. Let's make this have a good time. Let's build up some excitement to, like, we let it dry and we come back in the room. We're like, what does it look like? That's what I want y'all to have when y'all do y'all glitter. So, yeah. Anyways, second layer, same thing. Glittering it on. Putting the Mod Podge on. Glittering the edges. Coming back and hitting the center. And also, y'all, when y'all do this, don't be freaking out because, like, you see the first layer, you're like, oh my goodness, it looked like thin and it looked white. You use the white glue that dries clear. So, like, don't trip. Don't act scary. Because look what you ended up with. Baby, this pink is so bright and beautiful and lovely, and I love it. I need to get more colors like this. But yeah. And so, next, you just want to take... I have makeup brushes that I've converted into crafting brushes. Always remember, once you bring something into your craft room, it now belongs to your craft room. Do not try to pick this brush back up and think you're going to use to put your makeup on nasty. That's not what we're doing. Again, once you bring anything, like I have like silicone spoons and stuff, baby, those aren't going, well, actually, I bought them specifically for my craft room, but I have ones that I bought like 3 of them. So like 2 went to my kitchen and 1 came to my craft room. But again, once it comes to my craft room, it lives here. Okay, let's keep going. Sealing. I like to seal my glitter. I think you should seal your glitter, especially when you're doing chunky glitters, because it just helps You do less layers of epoxy, less sanding, and helps you lay that glitter flat. If y'all want me to do like more, I ask this like every year, but more 101s like ombres, chunky stuff like that, let me know. This video is just specific to fine glitters, but yeah, even my fine glitters, I like to seal in. I just feel like it helps the epoxy lay better. Is it mandatory? No, you don't have to seal it. And you can seal with other things. I don't know, I had sealed that last glitter with Mod Podge because I was just being lazy, and I don't know what happened. I felt like it dulled its shine a little bit. I didn't like that. So, but yeah, I always say you could seal with Mod Podge because up to that point I hadn't had a bad experience doing that, but I had one bad experience and now I'll never do it again. So yeah, this is where the polyacrylic comes in, and that's what I like to seal with. All right, let's talk epoxy. And so I'm using the Hog Speed Fast Set Epoxy. Again, this is from Stainless Steel Depot, Hog, whatever you want to call them. They got 2 websites set up with 2 different prices, baby, but that's not my business. So when you do epoxy, you have an A side and a B side. One is your resin, one is your hardener. What happens when you put the resin and the hardener together, when you mix it by equal volumes, you create a chemical reaction, which in turn turns it into a plastic. So you're going from a liquid state to a plastic state or solid state, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a scientist, but I do have a couple engineering degrees. The instructions are on the back. Read the instructions because I'm not a chemist. And so also, somebody's going to ask, do I need to wear PPE? Yes, bitch. I don't know why I got to keep explaining this to y'all. Do y'all want to get lung cancer? We are already living in a country that does not care how much high fructose corn syrup we eat. So yes, do the little things you can to protect yourself. Go to Harbor Freight, get you a mask, and protect yourself. Please, please, please. Wear gloves, all that kind of stuff. Protect yourself. Protect your lungs. Protect your family. Protect your children. Your animals. I hate that I be having to mention animals because y'all really think animals should have more rights than people, but this is not that kind of channel, but I just been in my feelings lately. Okay, anyways, for epoxy, this epoxy, always read your instruction, is volume 1:1. So you saw on the little medicine cup, I marked off 10 and I marked off 20. 10 of side A, 10 of side B for 20 total. Sometimes I be worried about y'all because y'all be in the comments not understanding that 10 plus 10 is 20, and that when I say 20, I'm doing 20 mils of epoxy. To get that to that 20 mils, I'm using 10 of side A of the resin and 10 of side B, the hardener, and I'm mixing it together for a total of 20, which when I say epoxy, I mean the product, the resin and the hardener together making epoxy. And so yes, when I say I'm using 20 mils of epoxy, I mean I'm using 10 of side A, 10 of side B to give me 20 mils of epoxy. Cool, cool. And so mix it. It's going to turn cloudy at first. Keep mixing it until it turns clear. You may have bubbles. Bubbles are fine. As long as you don't have some big globby bubbles, you're good to go. And so don't let the bubbles in the epoxy freak you out. We're going to address those with our heat gun after we get it on here, because what happens is at this point, when that chemical reaction is happening, your epoxy is heating up, right? And so that heat also pushes bubbles to the surface and lets them pop, but not always. But also, when you put it on the cup and you're smushing some of those bubbles out, and it's going to smooth. But for the ones that we can't get, or any that are still kind of bubbling under the surface, even once we put it on our cup, what we're going to do is we're going to use the heat gun to kind of force those to the surface and pop those. So don't trip. How do I get it on here? I'm showing you this video in real time. This clip is quite long, actually. It's long because I want you to see. This is my turner only moves at one speed. It don't got multiple speeds. It's not a car. And so this is how I put it on there. What I like to explain to people, I do what is called the drop and catch method. I do not like epoxy on all my fingers. 1 or 2 fingers is all that I like it on. Call me weird. I'm not putting my whole hand full of epoxy on this cup. That's nasty. I can't do it. So what I like to do is I like to line one of my pointer finger parallel up with the cup. Using my other hand that's holding the epoxy, I like to pour some of the epoxy onto the cup and let that pointer finger that I have stabilized against the cup. I'm not pressing hard against the cup, but just letting that roll. And while the cup is rolling, letting my finger kind of smooth that out. So that's what I'm showing you here. You see, I got my finger to the side. I poured some on. I'm parallel with the cup. Just enough, just like hovering right above it. Because if you'll notice, the bottom of my finger, so like the top of my finger where I'm catching the epoxy at, is on the cup. But the bottom of my finger, once it starts to meet my palm, that part is not necessarily pressed up on the cup, because I don't like getting epoxy all on my hand. If I ever flip my glove over, you will never see epoxy on the palm of my hand. Because you see, look, there's no epoxy on the palm of my hand. You see it kind of cuts off right where that first line on your finger really is. Because that's not where we're just using our finger to just get it where it needs to go. and letting it smooth out on its own. Epoxy is a self-leveling material, which means that even if you don't get it on, like, don't trip because you feel like it doesn't look even. It's gonna self-level itself out. You got to get it on there. You got to make sure you have good coverage. You need to make sure you have 100% coverage. Don't think when I say it levels itself out, it's gonna magically migrate to places you have completely blank, because it's going to migrate some. Yes, absolutely. It's a liquid. It's in a liquid form, right? But it's not going to, you can't just pour it on there and think that it's going to coat the whole cup itself. So that's why we're using our finger to get it where it needs to go. Now, when we're talking about the top rim, epoxy tends to want to pull away from edges, right? And so in order to prevent it from pulling away from the edge, we're going to push it all the way up, not over, not in, but make sure we are, what do I usually say? Airplaning off. So I'm going to push all the way up to the edge with it, right? And then finally, once I break the edge with my finger, just come up like you're taking off, like an airplane takes off. But you want to make sure you're pushing it all the way to the edge. Don't be afraid, because worst case scenario, if some does drip into your cup, once it dries, baby, just take a little X-Acto knife and pluck it off. A lot of times you get so little on your rim that you can just like take your finger and just pluck it off. But yeah, and with the bottom, I like to just work it over the edge. The bottoms are probably the most difficult in my opinion, because edges are unreliable, just like the ones on your head. Just joking. I'm not a comedian. Some of you might disagree. And so, yeah. So once we get it all on there, we're just going to take our heat gun. I got it on high. Some people are like, should I use a torch? A heat gun has always worked for me. I've never used a torch. I will use my little candle, my candle lighter, in a pinch. If I'm freaking out and for some reason I can't find my heat gun, which never leaves my craft room, which has happened to me a couple times. Y'all have seen it happen to me. But yeah, just for a couple of rotations, and that's it. We're going to let this sit. This epoxy that I'm using has a 4-hour cure to touch time. The full cure time, goodness, I can't speak, is 72 hours. And so you can see, y'all can see like the little bumps and the little, valleys and stuff. And so that happens. That's usually that's why I say bottoms are difficult. You see all the texture on the bottom. That happens. That's always happen. Not, I want to say always, because sometimes sometimes you'll put like one layer on and it'll be like perfect. And then you're like, damn, I don't want to do a second one because I've never had the first one come out perfect like this. But yeah. And so this is where we sand at. I just pull out random pieces of sandpaper that I have. And so you can see right here, you can still see like where it's shiny, where the dip is, but I like to sand the whole cup in its entirety. I'm fighting a hand injury right now that I've had like since we were on vacation for a couple of weeks. So like my grip strength has been kind of off. And so it took me forever to sand this cup. It seemed like it was probably only like 5 minutes, but yeah, I like to sand the whole cup, paying special attention to my edges because the edges tend to have a little more texture, like that texture I showed you that's on the bottom of the cup. But you're just trying to sand it, like, because there's going to be like texture on the surface that's pretty easy to sand out and you'll get that smooth. But like you'll see like where I have like the dips at, you're just going to sand around those, because for dips, what you're relying on is that when you put your next layer on, it's going to self-level itself in there and kind of even that out. But to make sure that it's even out, you want to make sure that the cup is even around it. So like you're not trying to sand your cup to meet where the dip is, because baby, you're going to end up sanding the cup off. But yeah, we're just sanding it smooth, just making the layer as smooth as we can in order for that next layer to be smooth. So yeah, like I said, it's paying close attention to my edges. Always be careful because, again, when I said like the epoxy likes to pull itself away from the edge, that also means it's potentially a little thinner there. So when you're doing like the bottom and the top edge, just always sand a little and look, sand a little, look. And so I like to wipe it off with alcohol. And so I decided to double dip on this one. Normally we just do it with vinyl, but I'm like, let's do a UV DTF and then let's do a little vinyl. Let's do both. And so I have this UV DTF transfer that you can pick up over at PeriodSixDesigns.com. And it says books are cheaper than therapy because I am in my book era. I've currently, let's see, it's June, dead in the center of June. I've already gotten 7 books done. I'm very proud of myself. You're probably like, this is why we don't be getting no videos. Yes, girl. I've had to switch my hobbies up because running a business is exhausting. And baby, I'm tired. And so, yeah, I'm just enjoying my free time with reading. And so another thing you want to be careful of when you do any kind of like transfers, vinyl, make sure your cup is cured. If when you're sanding your cup, if the epoxy is rolling off instead of sanding off in a powder, that means your cup is not cured. You need to pump the brakes, sweetheart. Because when you go and put like a transfer or any kind of adhesive on, you go to pull it off, it will pull that epoxy, that glitter, and all that straight off your cup. Ask me how I know. And so I'm just going to make a little vinyl. Y'all, I got something I want to run past y'all. I'm using Tech Wrap Craft vinyl. I will leave a link to it below. These companies are something else, y'all. These people, they reached out to me and they was like, oh, do you want to test out our vinyl? I'll say, yes, of course. I'm like, do you have any kind of requirements? I always ask this because I have a certain, if you just want to give an in-kind donation, aka you just want to give me something, I have my own sets of rules that I go by. But if you want to do a collaboration, aka you pay me, then we can discuss that. We discussed that up front before I even agree to do it, because I'm somebody with morals, and I tell companies straight up, if I don't like your product, we can either not do the video at all and let bygones be bygones. I can send you the product back or whatever. But if you do an in-kind donation and I do choose to feature your product, then I'm going to say whatever is true. But like, they sent it to me, and then when I got it, they was like, oh, we hope you can use it on your YouTube. Babes, the first time I used your vinyl, it took me 2 hours to figure out what the hell I was doing. And I didn't get paid for that. But I'm using it just because I think it's pretty. But I just think if anybody wants to do like the influencer thing and you run into this, baby, DM me, because I'll help you get through it and make sure you running your business so that it's to the benefit of you and your time. But yeah, anyways, I'll leave a link to this below. I do have a code. I think the code saves you 10%. But yeah, I'll leave a link to this vinyl below. Don't get me wrong, the vinyl is very pretty. I just don't like, and it's very nice. I have no, Tech Wrap makes good vinyl. Let me start there. They make good vinyl. This one is very pretty, and I like this glitter because most time when you get a glitter vinyl, it's textured on it when you run your hand across it, but this one is like sealed in, so that's what makes it really nice. But yeah, I just don't like when companies do that. They try to come back and be like, oh, well, we want this, that. That's not how this works. And so once you get your first vinyl on there, what I like to do, you see I made that little mark. That's, to me, that is the equidistant point from the middle of the transfer that I put on the front. That way I can find the center where I want to put this decal on the back. What I was trying to say before I said all the other stuff is that I have too many cups, and I just use my name as demo because I don't sell cups anymore. And so I was thinking that maybe we can start doing something where you guys, like, if you want to be the demo cup, you can just like fill out like I don't need like information, but like, where like what you want the name to be for the cup, and then like you can just pay for shipping for the cup or something like that. I don't know. But I know y'all get sick of seeing me being a demo. I get sick of seeing me being a demo because I don't end up using these cups because I already have 22,000 cups that I use. And so when you make that mark, just use alcohol to take it off. But yeah, if that's something you think you'd be interested in, just being like, you be the demo cup, instead of this cup having my name on it, it would be your name, and then you would just pay for shipping. Let me know, and then we can figure out how we can set something like that up. But yeah, and so I like to seal in my vinyls. This is something that I learned many years into making cups. But if you've ever not sealed your vinyl, sometimes what happens is when you put that epoxy on, remember, it's in a liquid form, right? And when you put liquid on something, sometimes it likes to get up under the adhesive and lift it up. And so sealing it on just makes sure that it doesn't move and that it's stuck in place. And so this is just, after I seal that, let it sit for about an hour. What you're seeing me do right now is epoxy because I talk too much and I be losing my timestamps. But yeah, and so just doing the same thing over again. Wasn't that easy, y'all? You're probably like, girl, no. And then you talk the whole time. I tried to get tips along the way. Y'all know I get sidetracked. If you're new here, hello. My name is Monica. For the most part, I be talking shit. If profanity bothers you, I am not the crafter for you. Please go over to one of the girlies that be wearing aprons or whatever in their videos. I am not Susie Homemaker. I'm reckless, and I like to threaten y'all. Because, like, if you so tough, you can come fight me. But yeah. But other than that, I love y'all. If anybody has comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comments. This is what it ends up looking like. It really is that simple, y'all. I promise. If you practice, and it gets better, it gets easier, and you will master it. This vinyl actually is very fucking pretty. I ain't even gonna lie. It looks so good against that background. Tech Wrap be doing their thing. They're a little shady with it sometimes, but they're nice people for the most part. Comments, questions below. I will leave a link to everything below. Check out website PeriodSixDesigns.com. Let me know what you guys want to see next. If we need more videos in the 101 series, let me know. Love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.